takes about a minute.
Oh yeah.
I'll start talking a little bit. So you'll beat somebody up for me if I ask you to.
You know I got your back.
I'm like, man, that escalated quickly.
Right?
Yeah,
if somebody's harassing my guy, I'm gonna hook him up.
Dude, it was. Man, it's hard not to
stand a darn keyboard warrior.
Well, that's what I got called. I'm like, I show up at houses. Trust me, the devil will attest to that. And yeah, I can't believe it went down the way it did. I shouldn't start off by saying anything like that, but it's hard not to like put it out there publicly. I saw some later posts where it was just like, he's passionate about it. And he loves doing it, and said I love you and all that. But I'm like, man, he really kind of exposed himself a little bit in some of those messages. There's pride, envy there, judgment.
Right.
And I mean, it's right in the text. I'm like, I can't really rock with that too much. I'm not perfect, but I'm not trying to bring in sin by proxy. You know what I mean? I can't roll with that. And that's what I call righteous sifting, because I didn't mean for all that stuff to happen, but God, he'll show me who he wants in my life more than others and seasons. I believe in all that. I'm not trying to like gain nothing, nobody. I'm not trying to extra hard with anybody to like stay around. So it kind of shook me, but yeah, I got to talk to my cousin yesterday. First time I saw him in quite a while, not in good shape. So at that moment, he was a lost soul in this town that I wanted to talk to. If I don't start with my own family, what am I doing out there trying to like connect with strangers? Not that I wouldn't, but I'm like, it just seemed to kind of get glossed over. So it was a successful day, in my opinion. But yeah, I don't know how much, I'll be talking to him. This guy I'm talking about, not my cousin, but moving forward, I don't think it's not going
to be very productive.
No, our intentions and hearts. He's great for I can't knock what he's done and what he does. Beautiful. Right. It's awesome. But tell me I'm not doing it, that I'm only doing stuff on Facebook, and that I got all my members because of search of Facebook profiles and stuff like that. That's just an example of stuff. Me and my old self, my old ways, that it's not there anymore. Yeah, it wouldn't have been too good. I'm not shy at all. So it was, plus if you're in the wrong about it, it's even worse, but I digress. It's not about none of that. It was a distraction. There was many today to try to throw this moment off. This moment is about you and you giving your full testimony. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Will Irving. I call him Good Will Irving. If you've not seen the movie, has nothing to do with the movie Good Will Hunting. Like, I don't know. Are you really great at math? Is this a hidden skill we don't know about?
No, definitely not.
Okay. So,
English, not math.
Okay. So it was that or Wilfred. He chose Good Will Irving. I like that too. GWI. Brother, this is good. This is gonna be something. I appreciate you doing this, of course.
Thank you as well.
This is something that got thrown together real quick, but as for everything else, I trust God. And I'm sure you know that, there was another one that was supposed to be happening tonight, but I canceled that because I wanted a little bit of a break and I just wasn't prepared, and kind of, being a little bit mopey in that area. And God's like, okay, yeah, go ahead and cancel it. And I was like, sweet. Then he's like, ha, now put Will. I'm like, no, but I get it. I just keep it real with God. I don't try to hide my feelings, but he's like, get over it and get moving. So got some questions for you based on the microbiome that you sent me. I went through all that and wrote these during the Zoom meeting earlier. I thought that was a great Zoom. Man, it was almost like a share meeting, but I just appreciate everything you've done so far. And we were talking a couple of weeks ago, not really sure if he was going to do the Zoom meetings or anything else. I was like, man, just don't do nothing worse. Don't add to nothing. Like, you'll see something start changing. I don't know what that would be, but I think you're in a better spot now than you was 2 weeks ago. I don't want to put those words in your mouth. I mean, I love that. People could see that. And if you're facing everything as it comes. So I'm ready to do this. If you're ready to do this, I'll hit you with the first question.
All right, let's roll.
Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to give your full testimony?
Couple reasons. First reason is when I got sober, I was asked to write a testimony and be able to share it with people so that they could see what I went through, and maybe some of the stuff that I went through would resonate in them and they could learn from my mistakes rather than go through them further. And the second reason is I think it would be a nice growing moment for me to be able to air it all out and give it to God rather than keeping stuff bottled up inside of me.
So how long in all would you say stuff's been bottled up inside of you? That's a ironic choice of words too.
All right,
Bottle.
coming from the bottle.
Yeah.
Oh wow! Everything started when I was a kid, I guess.
Well, speaking of the second question, I'm just going to hit you with this one. Can you look back, and find any good traits or qualities of your father?
When he was sober, he was a loving man. Taught me how to fish, but we didn't get him sober very often.
No. Did you know much about his dad and his upbringing?
Nah, never. I didn't meet his parents until he died, and it was years after he died.
Okay. So you never got a sense if he came from some similar background that you and your brother got to, witness for many years.
Nah, we didn't know anything about him. We drove up to Pennsylvania where his parents were for like a couple hours and came back. And I
Was
was
he?
like
Sorry.
8 or 9 when we met them. So it was a very short-lived thing. My brother and I played out in the yard most of the time.
Yeah. How how big was God in his life at all?
No, I don't think he was really in his life at all.
Okay. Um, you still? He
I hope, but
passed. He
yeah,
passed away.
I was 7 when he passed, but my mom had separated from him when we were like 5 and 6. So I hope in that time he found God before he passed.
Decent. This is an unfortunate accident. I don't know if I want to give the details. That's up to you. But do you think drinking was involved in the way he died?
Oh, I'm sure it was. He was swimming and had a heart attack and drowned.
What age?
35.
My goodness. He drank for. He might have started drinking when he was 12, huh?
Probably.
Sins of the father.
Never got to ask him any of that.
Well, we're giving them up tonight. Do you still harbor any resentments or hatred towards them?
No, I guess the only thing I've really held on to is I was never taught how to be a man. I had to learn what not to do in life by his example.
How difficult's that been?
Hellish. I got kicked out when I was 15 and started working to pay my way through life, and got my G.E.D when I was 16. It's been tough.
What'd you get?
And whatever,
What'd you get kicked out for? I had to ask.
I'm sure something stupid, probably drinking or smoking weed or something, you're not supposed to be doing.
But not your golden boy brother?
Well, I don't think he ever did get kicked out. He left on his own eventually.
Not at 15.
Oh no.
How often do you talk to your brother these days?
Talked to him on Thanksgiving.
Mm,
And before then, right before I came to Virginia. And
been
that
a
was just
while.
text. Yeah, so not really that often.
Do you think he's got anything against you?
I have no idea. He acts like he
How?
doesn't, but when it comes time to visiting or doing anything, he's busy. He lives here in Virginia as well.
Is that important to you? If you guys could just go back to like how things were, how good you guys were to each other when you were just playing out in the yard, and really just you only really had each other growing up.
Pretty much.
You think about really reaching out. I mean, you're doing something like this with a bunch of strangers.
Yeah.
I mean, you could. I wouldn't say it's the same. It's quite different when that's your flesh and blood, your brother. You love him. He loves you. If either one of you heard something bad happen to each other, man, memories and feelings and all that other would come out real quick. I should have said this. I should have said that.
Yeah, I'd be there in a heartbeat for him. I just don't feel like he would be there for me.
No. And you really can't think of why.
I mean, I screwed up a lot. I was a drunk for a long time, but I never did anything to him.
No. I got family that's kind of like that. That once they see me kind of doing a certain thing or not doing certain things, I'm blacklisted for life. Like they have no interest in how I've changed and turned my life around and all that. But and it bothered me for a long time. But I just realized now after this year, I can't control nobody's thinking or love or nothing like that. If anybody wants to come and talk to me, I'm an open book, just like I would be to you and anybody else. But I'm not people pleasing. I'm not attention seeking. I'm not going to go out there and fish to mend these relationships and all these roads. I said, help me with my life and my will. I trust whatever God brings me to is what he'll bring me to. If he doesn't bring me to a point where like I'm going to reconcile with my son or my nephews or cousins, it's not in the plans. It's just how it is. I can't spend no time dreading that or worrying about it. I just know I'm willing, ready, and able to do that. I mean, I think you would be too. If your brother if he just knocked on your place right now. Well, first of all, you wouldn't expect that, but I mean, I'm sure there's definitely way more love there than there is animosity or hatred or nothing. He just probably just moved on, and it was just like,
yeah, exactly. He's got a
you know,
family, kids, all that.
I mean, I would love for I mean, all you could do is just do the best you can and live your life, and that if that comes back around, it comes back around. But as long as you're not holding on to I don't know how that couldn't create a little bit of a void, but I mean, there's nothing that you can do to like mend that. You just have to keep doing what you're doing every day that God has you doing. Like if you started to like try to, as an example, do everything to mend that road with him, then you're probably not doing what God wants you to be doing. So I don't know if that would make it easier to kind of think about, but man, I mean, I got plenty of relationships I wouldn't mind mending, but it's not up to me all the time. God's got to move both people's hearts towards each other. How'd you stick it with your dad for a little bit more? You told me, I don't want to use your words, but he was a big drinker, pretty abusive, pretty much the whole childhood, the whole time. A lot of people could relate to that, recognize that. But he died early. I was expecting it to be a little bit older, but when he did die, how do you remember feeling when you first heard the news?
Well, it was really rough for both of us, my brother and I. My mom had already moved on to his best friend, his drinking buddy, party buddy. And he was living with us. They had been together for like a year or so. And my brother and I just went into total rebellion against everything. In school, at home, everything was just us being wild.
I mean, neither one of you guys respected him.
No, I mean, it was just total chaos.
I mean, he was a lot of the
My
same.
brother and I would fight like cats and dogs. We would rebel against any kind of authority. It turned into, you're not my dad anytime my stepdad said something.
I mean, you guys knew of him somewhat, right? I mean, he hung
Oh
out,
yeah, we
partied at
knew
the
him.
house.
We hung out with him and went fishing with him with my dad,
But
like all sorts of stuff.
that should have been it though. Like that shouldn't have that that would have been a little bit awkward. But I mean, you kind of said to me that he didn't really want the parental duties, so he didn't really want the stepfather role. He just wanted the relationship.
Right. That's
So,
what it
but
felt like.
um, now what age was you and your brother when he was in the house?
I was 6. My brother was probably 7. We found out my
Okay.
dad died when I was 7.
I mean, and this guy was your dad's best friend, did a lot of the same stuff. So, I mean, life kind of just probably went on kind of like how it was when your dad was there, right? Was there less
Exactly the
partying?
same, except for the other guy had quit drinking when my mom was talking to him, but he was still like the same abusive jackass without the alcohol.
What did he had? He had to be doing some substance.
No, not when he
He,
moved in with us. When he was
oh,
hanging out
okay.
with my dad, he was like full blown party guy. But
Huh.
he got sober, and then he was like basically one of those AA pricks that were like very sanctimonious and above everybody else.
I don't know any of them people.
Yeah,
Well,
me neither.
so he was a dry drunk.
Yeah, exactly.
One of those I do it on my own.
Yeah, pretty
Probably
much.
not going. Probably didn't go to church every Sunday.
Oh, not ever.
Didn't see him with a Bible, just chilling, drinking
The
some
only
coffee
time
down
he
there.
ever went to church is when he married my mom.
Perfect. um, your mom. Um, I want you to say the word that you described her. I don't want to say that. It's two words with one word, and just kind of describe her. Your feelings, thoughts. Growing up, and give us the rundown on how important or how unimportant your mom made you feel growing up.
I mean, sometimes like take pity on her because she was one of those people that had to have somebody to support her and take care of her, and it felt like she chose having a man over her kids.
And that just was always the way it was.
Always.
I mean, there was no examples or morals that she like lived by to pass on to you and your brother.
Um, she would try to teach us like right from wrong and everything like that, but it's like we didn't really see it a lot at the house.
Words and actions, two different things.
Exactly. It was like do what I say, not what I do.
Now, growing up though, getting older, like, could you say that that was your mom though? You only get one. You
Exactly.
loved her. You loved her as much as you could. You needed both you and your brother needed more from her. You needed to see her back up the example she was trying to teach you guys. So respect level. How far do you think you ever got with well, loving your mom is one thing, but respecting your mom is a whole different ball game. I mean, could you say that after all these years, you had any respect for
Um,
her? If it's
Off and on through the years, definitely more so now that I got out of the house and grew up a bit. I mean, I can see where the stuff I didn't agree with was kind of like something in her mentality that made her that way. But as far as, I mean, I love her, but there's definitely some real crappy times that I don't think should have happened.
Yeah, has she ever expressed any kind of guilt or offered any kind of apologies? Like if she looked back on her career as a mother, what I mean, C minus, D plus. I just wonder if she's ever offered you I mean, now that you guys are grown and stuff, the old I wish I could have been there more for you. I wish I could have done more. Have you ever kind of heard any kind of like amends from her being offered?
Honestly, yeah, she has said she's sorry a few times and said that she can't really make up for it, but she loves us and
Hmm.
she's proud of us, kind of deal.
That meant a lot to you.
Yeah, coming from her. And like we talk
Um,
now a lot more than we used to.
that's good.
It's not like we call all the time, but because her husband doesn't like me because I got hurt on his job and everything went to crap. That's where my back was broke and I had to get a fusion and everything.
How long ago was
Ended up
that?
homeless. Oh, 10 years ago.
All right, I'm going to get to that because that's something that's coming up. I'm going to wrap this up with your thoughts on your mom. So you guys are in better places. She's doing better. You guys are more mutual, and that time is over with and in the past. But um, I mean, you expressed to me that she had said or made you feel like that you were just an accident, and kind of divided you and your brother because she favored him more than you. I mean, looking back then, why would she purposely favor your brother over you back then? Like, what would be the reason?
I never knew. I just knew I was an accident.
So was I. I mean,
Right?
I was too. I mean, I'm the result of I think a pretty much a one night stand type of deal. But I
Yeah, but
mean,
I mean that's like not the thing you tell your kids unless you
yeah,
are trying to make them feel that way.
well, that's what I'm saying. That seems. I mean,
Neglectful, hurtful.
I've heard stuff like that similarly from my mom in certain times, but yeah, I don't even know like how that those type of things could come out of a person. It just doesn't seem like a human quality of any kind. But I
Yeah, I
digress.
agree.
I mean, because especially with a mom like that, we're in the world, man, and dark energies
God
and
doesn't make accidents.
well, no. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah. And for another person, even if they're like drunk or sober or whatever, especially if they're sober, but to like tell your child that they were an accident, then like what the hell are you supposed to do from then on?
Right.
Now you're separated from your brother. So there goes that too. Dad died. The new dad's not anything special. So you were on
Right.
your own. You were on your own at 15. The drinking was increasing. But you didn't think that you were an accident then, even because at 16 you got the GED, like you said, you started supporting yourself. You knew you had to like have some money and continue on. But how bad was the drinking at 16? Because as far as I remember, you said at 12 you've been drinking regularly. So out on your own at 15, 16, GED working, but drinking still too at 16.
The partying started every summer at 12 years old. We would get out of school for the summer and just go party with the college kids on the beach every summer. Then 15 started drinking during school or during school nights and hanging out with my friends. And then when I got kicked out, I was couch hopping for a while, partying with my friends then. It just became like a every night thing.
No, just kept progressing.
Exactly.
How many of them friends are still around now?
From 16, there's a few still alive,
Yeah,
but one of my good buddies, he's 10 years sober now, and we're still in touch.
good. I like that. I'm glad. I'm gonna get to that. The back injury. How old were you when you had the back injury?
34, 33, somewhere in there.
All right, let me still build to that. 19, 20 years old. Um, still working on your own, doing your own thing. Um, but that's when things started to get a little bit heavier, from what I remember reading. And I ended up calling this the, if you want to talk about it, but this is going to get a little bit heavier, Will, if you're cool.
Oh yeah.
I called this the cutting season. And you said it lasted basically for about 10 to 15 years. Started when you were
Yeah.
about 19 to 21. Now, I just said that, and people are like, what? Cutting season. I mean, that lasted over a decade. Could you try to explain to people in their own words, and I'll interrupt you as little as possible, how that started, what that means, how long it lasted, what you were intending to do by doing that, and um, the floor is yours on this one.
Honestly, I felt worthless. I felt like there was no purpose for me in this world. Um, I felt like I was an unlovable creature that nobody wanted around except for people that we were getting wasted together. Um, I wasn't good at relationships, so I didn't think any girls would want me. And I just, every time I got in a relationship, my drinking would tear it up, and I just didn't want to be here anymore. I asked God to take me home, and He didn't, so I figured I would just go. And every time it got worse and worse with the cutting. Probably have 30 cuts on my arms from where I dug razors into it and ripped them out. Um, my whole life, I just wanted to be loved and be lovable, and I never felt like I was.
When you'd say the majority of the time you were doing the cutting, drinking was involved, or you were already at the drunk point. You never cut
Oh yeah,
much. So,
no, I didn't.
I mean, but still, though, like, were there, like, how frequent? This is over a 10. You said 10 to 15 year span. Well,
Yeah.
but how often would you say this happened? Once a week, a couple times a month, every night?
Um, there would be like 4 or 5 times in one year, and then it wouldn't happen again, and then I just would go through these dark patches and wanted to be gone.
And when you, oh man, the first time you did this, you had to get the idea from somewhere. So I'm not painting the picture for you. I wasn't there, but to be at the point where you're like, yeah, this seems like a good idea. Um, that's the moment I wanted to really talk about. If you could remember, I assume that you were drunk and it might be fuzzy and everything, but the first cut that you made, can you remember that and then try to describe where your mind was?
I had been dumped and kicked out of my girlfriend's house. And she was one of those people that would take everything to the extreme and get very spiteful. So if she was upset, she wanted to hurt your feelings as bad as she could. And I'm one of those people that take everything to heart. And she said she never wanted to see me again, that probably nobody else wants to see me again, and I should just leave this world. So I had a knife in my pocket, and I walked out into the woods and cut myself. And even though I was drinking, my blood clotted, and I woke up the next morning.
Hmm. Uh, what that was, you could have died. Can we just say that? Probably
Yeah.
should have. Was this? I don't know. I don't know if it matters if it was winter time or fall or summer or whatever. But what season was it?
Probably fallish, like end of
Okay.
summer, fall.
Okay. I'm just trying to get that. So that happened in the season of the fall. Most of your cutting that you did over the years, do you remember? Like, could you think of like what season, what part of the year most of that cutting happened?
All over the place.
So it wasn't like
It
tied
really
into
wasn't
just
like, yeah, it wasn't like seasonal or anything like that.
okay. Um, but you that didn't do it. You didn't like come to and wake up and are like, oh man, and not doing that anymore. That seemed like another good idea that some other time, a second time, and then
Nah, I
it,
just felt like more like a failure, like she was telling me I was, because I couldn't even do that right.
well, you were trying to prove her right though. You were trying to prove her right. So, oh man, I get that so bad. When I feel like somebody didn't love me, man, I had to really show them how much I love them by trying to take myself completely out of their life. That'll show them. That'll get them to love
Right.
me after I'm gone. Because neither one of us should be here having this conversation. I just want to like lay that out there. But Will, this went on, man, for a long time, brother. And it was the initial reason was got dumped, got felt worthless, useless. Mom said you were an accident. Didn't feel a ton of
Just adds
love
up.
there. So that's compounded on top of that, separated from your brother because he was picked. I mean, God forbid, if your brother was in the relationship, your mom would have been cheering for it. And, he probably wouldn't have gone out in the woods and done anything like that. So there's so much back memories and so many back emotions that got thrown onto this dumping that she did to you that it was way more about other things than just being dumped. It just felt like the culmination. This is it. Her dumping me proves all this that
Yeah.
I've felt for so many years, and you wanted to get out of it, but you didn't. Now, did you keep cutting yourself every time trying to leave the world, or did it just become kind of like a habitual thing?
It was pretty bad at the end. Um, I can't say that it was like, I'm sure there was a few times that it was for attention, but towards the end when I decided I had to stop that and made a promise to God to stop it, I had got myself, and the ambulance took me to the hospital, and they had me in a room, and I was like, "You don't have to save me, just let me go." And they were like, "Just relax, everything's gonna be all right." And they left me in the room for like 30 minutes, and nobody was coming back in. So I was like, "All right." I broke a picture that was on the wall and took a piece of glass out of it and sliced my arm deep enough to hit an artery, and blood was shooting all over the room. And then a security guard walked past, and he pulled me out of the room and started beating me with a club. Jackass. And the nurses flipped out on him, and they got him off of me and wrapped my arm back up. And then the doctor finally came in, and he's like, "You're not going home." I was like, "Yeah, I figured." He's like, "I'm gonna stitch you up, and we're gonna take you upstairs." I'm like, "All right, let's go."
How did upstairs go? What was upstairs?
It made me feel like what?
What was
What'd you say?
upstairs?
Oh, the middle ward.
How long did
They
that
put the middle
last?
ward on the top floor of the hospital. Like a week.
Did you think that you should have been in there?
Um, Not once I got up there. Like I figured I needed to talk to somebody, but There's some really out there people up there.
Okay. I mean, that might have helped you sober up a little bit, sober minded
Yeah,
wise.
exactly.
I know, because what you just did was desperate, for lack of better words.
Yeah.
This was towards the end though, so you've been doing this for a decade or so. Failed attempts or whatever. Was there any point in all this cutting through the years, maybe halfway through it, that you enjoyed any of it? That
The
it
cutting
kind of
itself?
felt good? Yeah. It's
It's
very
possible.
habitual.
Yeah.
Because I'm saying you're drinking,
I
you have,
think part of it made me feel alive and like I had actual valid feelings.
yeah, that's what I'm after. I mean, after a while, it's just like, well, if I go too far, I go too far. And it's what I'm after anyway, initially.
Right.
But at the same time, it almost kind of felt like it was. I'm not saying this is how you thought, so don't think I'm trying to tell you this. But to me,
Like a drug.
well, yeah,
Like a
it,
it was
it's
like a
10 to
release
15
of
years.
endorphins, I guess.
Yeah, it's habitual, so it's a form of
Yeah.
addiction. I mean, hell, I only drank and did coke off and on, maybe a few times a year, maybe more the next year, than a long span of half a year, not doing nothing. But it was
Yeah.
habitual, and the result was the same every time. But I kept doing it because I liked it, not so much because I was trying to numb stuff or mask anything out. It was something I felt I could control.
Right.
It felt like if I had some drugs and some alcohol in me, at least now I can just be whoever I want to be for the time being. And if you're doing the
Yeah.
cutting with razor blade knife or whatever, it feels like in your mind, my mind, our minds, that I'm in control of this. I can cut as deep as I want. I can make as many as I want. I can make a nice little pattern. So in the drunken mind, it's giving us an idea of like, I'm in control of this. I can just go like this if I want to. It gave you a momentary release of being out of control with everything, because that's why you got there in the first place. And then it created a false sense of control because you were in control. You could do whatever you want to do. And you'd watch it, and that's ritualistic. Look at that blood. It's sick, and it's not you, and it's not an insane thing. Form of possession, my friend. Rational, sane, sober minds don't do that. People
Right.
with loving relationships with Jesus and God don't do that. That was done to Jesus by Romans and people that hated Jesus for being who he was. A lot of people thought Jesus was an accident, wasn't worth it, wasn't deserving. He kind of was. And that's the same entity, being, whatever you want to call it, the omnipotent one, that saved you every time. Even when you thought, oh, I could just do whatever I want, drunk, feeling bad about myself. I'm in control, though, if I got this happening. Kept sharpening that knife all the time, getting ready for that next cutting. That was your escape. It wasn't even the alcohol. The alcohol was the catalyst to get to the cutting. He was in control every time. He lets you do all that because at the end of the day and at the end of it all, and it's been years since you cut yourself, you got the scars to show that you lived through that, because you aren't an accident and you have a purpose. Otherwise, you would have bled out the first night in the woods. Debate that?
Not at all.
No. I digress. How long has it been since your last cut? And you told me that story where you couldn't find the knife and all that. But
Yeah.
just tell me about the last one, then we'll move on from this.
That was probably 30, 31, 32. So 12
How old
years,
are you? 12 years?
44.
Okay. Why'd you stop?
I just decided to, when I talked to God about it, that I made a promise to him that I would never do it again.
You kept it.
So far.
That's what people with purposes do. They keep their promises.
Exactly.
You don't making promises to people can't be kept unless they keep their promise to God, that God has kept his promise to us. You want to keep promises to people, help other people, you just keep your promise to God. You gave him a reason to trust you. You probably
Right.
experienced a feeling of leveling up then, because brother, you could have died every time you did that. I got to get into some more stuff. You good? You want a break?
Yeah, no, let's go.
What happened?
Let's do it.
People in the chat right now, man, show those guys some love, please. What happened? What happened when you were 25?
Which time?
Well,
Which instance are you talking about?
there was, you got invited to a house by somebody you thought you could trust.
That one. Yeah. I was baptized by my pastor that was supposed to be leading me to God. I had invited my mom and my brother, and my mom brought one of her friends. She was so proud of me. And they all showed up and watched me get baptized by this guy. And then after everybody left and went home, he invited me over to his house for a party, knowing I'm an alcoholic. So we sat there getting drunk. And then he asked me to talk to him in his room, and he started grabbing my junk. And I was like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "It's okay. This is what we do." I'm like, "This is not what we do." And he was like pushing himself on me and grabbing me, and I freaked out. And I tried to talk to the church about it, and they said I was lying. I was just a drunk. So it was a bad time.
You talk. I
But
mean,
I
was there any
trusted
other?
him. Do what?
What's that? What did you
I was
say?
just saying, like, I trusted this guy to bring me to God, and it almost ruined it if I didn't know better. I just knew that he wasn't of God doing stuff like that.
I wish you could have known then that you don't need anybody else to bring you to God. You really don't. Every
Right.
every man on this earth is imperfect and covered by sin because of Jesus. It's every man's perceptions and perspectives and knowledge and everything else. They can't bring you to have a personal relationship with Jesus. It's a personal, authentic, original relationship with Jesus. It's up to us to seek that out. I mean, we can take counseling and guidance and all this stuff, but no man needs another man to be led to Christ. We're all meant to be leaders anyway. That's what that is. That's what that personal relationship births in us. We stop being followers of men and leaders of Christ, and that's it. But did you have any more run-ins with him? Did you see him again? Did you talk to him again? I mean, how did you reconcile
Never.
your relationship with God after that?
I was actually working at the church that needed financial aid and worked basically kind of like at the front door. So when I came to the administration of the church, they were like, "You're just drunk and trying to cause trouble, blah, blah, blah." So I lost my job, and they wanted to get me out of there as fast as they could. So that's when they sent me to the God-based recovery house I went to. It was called a House of Prayer in North Carolina. And after I'd been there for a month and some change, the pastor started talking about baptizing people, and I was like, hey, I need to talk to you alone for a minute. And I explained to him what had happened and asked him if it's okay to be baptized twice, because I didn't feel comfortable with the baptism I had. And he said, of course, that shouldn't have been done and we could handle it. And he gave me the full submersion, and we did it.
I mean, I took a lot of trust on your part. I mean, I
That's
would.
how bad I wanted, like, to really be baptized in the Holy Spirit, and I just felt like it was ruined by the person that did it the first time.
Well, yeah,
And
it
it's
was.
a touchy subject.
You have a.
Some people say that it doesn't matter how many times you do it, and some people say if you don't do it the first time, then it doesn't count, and blah blah blah. So I was like, whatever. I know
I
it
done
counted
it
for me the second time.
3 times for me.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, 3 times. First 2 times, I was just getting wet, doing it for show. I kind of wanted it and all that, but I was still just using God, and I let Him use me. This third time was back in April
right.
at Open Arm. It was the second time I've actually been baptized by the same pastor. But I told him my reasons this time, and he's like, "It sounds like you've come a long way and have grown to know exactly what you're doing and what that means. Like when you come up from that water, you be ready to be obedient the best way you can. Don't be trying to be perfect. Don't do it for me. Don't do it for this church or this town or anybody else. Don't do it for your wife. You do it for Jesus, and all the rest of that will fall into place how it will." I was like, man, I was
Amen.
like, I'm ready. And when I came up out of that water this third time, I felt different than I did the first 2 times, if I could just say that. I just felt a sense of being home. Not that I was in this building that was a church, not that what I was doing was even just a public declaration and everything. I just felt like I left everything in that water. And when I came up, I was like, this is new for me. Something is different inside. I could feel it. I knew I wasn't trying to put
Right.
on a show. I wasn't running home to be like, Deb, I got, baptized, so I'm good. I'm out of the doghouse, right? You can trust me again. It was for me and for God, and that's it. Like that was the only things on this world was that tub of water, me and God. That was it. It was a public declaration, but that church could have been empty for all I cared.
Right.
And these months since then, Will, I know we've only talked for about a month. I did not and could not produce the changes that have happened in this year on my own. They are not mine.
Yeah, I
And
get that.
so I don't know how you felt the second time. That was just it 2 times, right?
Yeah.
Did it feel different the second time? I mean, you had all probably the same hopes and intentions and feelings
It
going
did.
into
I
it.
mean, it was beautiful. It was like you could feel the Holy Spirit like in the whole like building and everything. It was really awesome and amazing. It was just me, the pastor, and a bunch of addicts. And I think 4 of us got baptized that day. It was really powerful and moving.
Oh man, did that help you reconcile with God? I mean, were you blaming God at all? For what happened after the first one, and did you
No,
put
no,
him?
that never crossed my mind. It was never God's fault. It was always it was that man's fault. I don't even like calling him a pastor.
Oh, it's just a title anyway. It's a human
Exactly.
title. I mean, don't get me started with all that religion stuff. You know what the number one killer of faith is for everybody in this world?
Church.
Religion.
Yeah,
Religion will send you to hell quicker than your intentions will. Because
exactly.
all religion is self-righteous intentions. Faith and God and a personal relationship with Jesus is all you need. You ain't got to worry about. We're imperfect, so we can't do it perfect. There's no such thing. I'm not going to say things perfect all the time. I don't know nothing, but I know God does, and He'll let me know what He wants me to know when He wants me to know it. I just keep it simple as simple can be. Moving on. Let's get to the. So after that, you did a better relationship started forming with Jesus? Did you have that? What did it look like and feel like? Because people's always like, you got to have a personal relationship with Jesus. How did all that get? How did your faith grow after that second baptism? And then I got another area of questions.
Basically, I did take on a personal relationship with Jesus. I communicate a lot more. Started praying every day, and for a while I stayed sober, and then I just got back around the same old people. No, wait. When I left there, I stayed in a house that was just kind of like the guy was renting rooms out, and
House type of deal.
I wasn't really. It wasn't even an Oxford house. It was just like a guy that rented rooms that went to the church.
Yeah. Okay.
So I stayed with him, and then that wasn't working out because I was drinking there. And then a good buddy and he and his wife took me into their home for a while, and I was still fighting the demon of addiction really bad. Stayed sober.
You sure that wasn't a disease that flared back up?
It's not. I don't think it's a disease. I think it's some terrible stuff.
But you chose to start drinking again, right? Like it was fine until you started drinking again and let the spirits back in.
Exactly.
I digress.
So,
go ahead.
So they were there for me a lot. They tried to work with me on the drinking all they could, and finally, I guess I just wanted to do what I wanted to do so much that I ended up moving out rather than trying to stay sober. And thank God they're still my friends and brother and sister in Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what'd you do after you moved out though? Where'd you go, and did the
I just
drinking
found
increase?
another room to rent so I could party and be with another girl and all that fun stuff.
Kind of wanting to have the cake and eat it too type of deal.
Yeah.
So you were married at one point.
Yeah, I was.
How many years?
About 10.
10 years. I did not know that. Kids?
Yeah, it was, what's that?
Kids?
I'd never made any kids. We had a miscarriage, and she had a daughter before we met.
Okay. Let's get into this. You had an accident.
Out the back. Yeah. It was before I got married. I was helping my stepdad with a job I didn't want to help with because I had my own thing going on. My mom's like, please go help him. He took a job that's way too big for him, and it's not going to go well if he has to do it by himself. So I was like, all right. Eventually, after being asked to do it, I went and helped. I ended up getting hurt on his job. We were carrying a hurricane-proof sliding glass door up the stairs, and he dropped his end. When his end hit the deck, 2 of my discs blew out, and I ended up going to the hospital for it, and they were like, well, you need surgery. And so I went back and talked to him. His workman's comp had lapsed, so they weren't going to help at all. Yeah. Then I sat around the house for like 2 weeks, not working, not having anything. And he's like, we're trying to figure out how to get this done and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I'm just sitting there in pain, suffering. So I contacted a lawyer and told the lawyer that I didn't want anything to happen to my mom or stepdad, but if there was another way we could get some kind of workers' comp going so I can get this surgery and get my back fixed, then I would like to pursue something. And he's like, all right, let me look into it. And he's like, all right, we can go after the general contractor because it's his job and he's liable for everybody that works for him to have insurance anyway.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So when I did that, my stepdad was like, you got to get the hell out of here. Don't ever come back. And since that day, I ended up in Greenville, North Carolina, at a homeless shelter for like a year. In and out of there. Stayed in an Oxford house. And finally, the state ended up helping me get the first 2 surgeries for laminectomies. That's where they go in and cut out a little piece of your disc and try to get it to reset in your spine properly. But by that time, like, there was too much damage done. The vertebrae had already been rubbing together and stuff. And the woman I married had told me to come on and move up to Texas with her. And her insurance allowed me to get the spinal fusion. When they cut me open for that, there was a splinter of my vertebrae like stabbing into my spinal cord. So they had to like stop that operation and call in the neurosurgeon to have him pull that out. And I'm lucky to be walking because I would have lost my legs if I didn't have that surgery.
Oof. Well, that was kind of a in the nick of time type of deal.
Yeah.
That just would have kept. How long after the injury did you have the surgery then? A couple of years?
It was like a year and a half.
And so you just dealt with the pain until then?
Yeah, while I was homeless.
In Greenville?
Yeah.
No work, nothing? How'd you meet?
I held up a sign on the side of the street. Sometimes people would come by and ask for day laborers. I would go and try to work at the homeless shelter. I got food stamps from the state. It was hell.
Did you pick up any other addictions along? I mean, how was the drinking going during all this?
So there was always money for that.
Not to laugh, but I mean,
Yeah.
of course, they had to follow you to Greenville.
I mean, you got to find a way to be able to go to sleep, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I understand. That's a good point. Well, then, how all this going on? How did you meet this female from Texas? How did she drive by and see one of your signs or something? Oh, looks cute. Poor guy's good Will Irving.
Actually, in one of the Oxford, yeah, no doubt I had to. The one of the Oxford houses had an Xbox, and I would play on there. And we met online and started talking that way.
Hot dang. So that lasted 10 years. How long did you guys talk before you met?
Shit, it happened really quick. It was like 3 months.
Okay, I can relate to this. And she just said,
And then,
come to Texas.
no, she said, pack your crap up. I'm coming to get you.
Okay.
You're not living like that anymore.
I mean, so you were honest with everything. You were just typing.
Oh, she knew everything.
This is very similar to how me and Deb met, to be honest with you. Not in the same sense of like your situation, but yeah,
Right.
we chatted for about, I don't know, maybe a month and a half or two about a lot of stuff before we even met. But So you're like, wow, okay, got out of this situation, thank God. Move in with her, do the surgery. 10 years, but wasn't meant to be after that. Why did it end?
I guess I didn't have the surgery as soon as I thought when I put the timeline together. The final surgery was probably like 6 or 7 years ago. So 3 years after I'd been there, 3 or 4 years after I'd been there. During that time, I was still drinking. And when I was finishing with the surgery, she started having affairs. She said she wasn't getting the attention that she wanted. And
Was that a fair claim?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. What was you doing?
Uh, when she finally told me what was going on, I was still recovering, like sleeping on the couch because of the back surgery. I couldn't get up on the bed. But at the time,
Okay.
like, I was more selfish and was like, yeah, well, I just got out of back surgery, so of course you're not getting the attention you want. But if I think about it, I probably didn't give her the attention she deserved a lot of the time we were together.
Damn. Okay. I mean, yeah, but you couldn't have been feeling too great about yourself, though. I mean, you're kind of laid up and healing and not still feeling great. Like you wasn't running around the house, flipping pancakes and doing drywall or whatever. You were still kind of limited from the surgery.
Right?
You couldn't get in bed, you said.
Yeah.
Not your fault. That's not your fault. But did you allow that to kind of like become you a little bit? Did you maybe wallow in that a little bit and kind of like have a little bit of self-loathing going on?
Um, Honestly, I think like everything over the phone was a lot better. And then when we met in person, like the expectations weren't there. So it was really awkward and
The click on the phone was
it
different
wasn't
than
what, yeah. The conversations over the phone and some of the pictures were altered.
Whose? Yours, hers, or both?
I don't know how to do that stuff.
Me neither, honestly. Filters.
Yeah, now it's easy. We got the Snapchat filters, but back then that wasn't even the case yet. So
Don't
I don't
you
know
know
how it happened.
that's a form of catfishing? I'm sorry. Like if like if I sit here and I look like Ryan Gosling or something, and then I show up, like this.
All
Well,
right, gosh.
that's on me. I can't blame you. So if you showed up expecting her to look a certain way, and then you were like, "Hey, you, what's
Right?
going on? My back is sore. I need to I'm just like- But it still lasted 10 years.
Well, she had become like my best friend, so I was trying to like deal with it, and
Was you in love with her at all?
yeah, I loved her as a friend,
And but
but
okay, sorry. Go ahead.
I so before I got there, she had already bought a wedding ring.
Oh man.
Yeah, and
Oh, wow, this is not
while
funny.
it's a mess, and while we were talking over the phone, she found out she had cancer.
Okay.
So I agreed to come out there and help her with it. And it's been a lot. Like, she's convinced me that she was going to die. and she didn't want to die alone. And then I agreed to marry her. And she's still happy and rocking.
Was there proof that she had cancer?
Oh my gosh. Her family, me, none of us have ever seen proof.
So she's kind of got some pathological lying issues, attention seeking, trauma bonding, neurotic.
Yeah, a bunch of stuff like that.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
So
it was an emotional roller coaster.
There's probably a lot more we don't need to get into. We've heard enough. Is she a bad person?
I gave it the good old college try. Do what?
She a good person? I should laugh at that one.
She is a good person when she's being honest. She's got a really big heart. She tries her best for her daughter.
You think she's got multiple personalities? That sounds like two
possible.
different people.
It really does.
Bipolar, possibly. I mean, we're just guessing.
Sure she's got things that doctors haven't even checked out yet.
I mean, she bought a ring. She gets you down there and helps you out with the insurance to get the surgery. She's got cancer all of a sudden. Now she's not getting attention from you because, her filters aren't the same in person. Their back's healing. And so she just starts cheating. Like, how? I got to ask, like, when did that start happening and how affected were you by it? I don't. I'm not making light of it. It sounds like a Jerry Springer episode.
Yeah, it really does. Now that I'm listening to it out loud.
See?
But yeah, I mean, honestly, it was like, at that point, I didn't even care. I was like, whatever. I'm out of here. I got a reason to leave.
Yeah.
So when I left...
Sorry.
Do what?
Let him finish his answers. Sorry, I had to, get in my own head a minute. I got to let you finish your answers.
When I left the first time, her daughter started regressing. So, because she had autism, and I was the only male in her life that treated her like a daughter. Like, I would take her out to play and take her to the pool, and I wasn't afraid to be around her. When she was really little, her dad was afraid of the autism and everything that came with it, and he bounced on them. So it was tough. As her and I got closer, her dad started seeing, like, hey, she's a good kid, and wanted to be a part of her life. And we butted heads a lot, but at the same time, we started respecting each other, and he really showed up and started being a father again. So I was like, man, that's awesome. Do your thing.
It took away from your time.
I ended up... Not really. It was only like every other weekend.
Okay.
And she lived with us full time. And he was her bio dad. So I was like, if you want that relationship, do it. You deserve it, but do it right. Don't you break that little girl's heart. And he didn't. I mean, he's been there the whole time ever since he tried to get back into her life.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Exactly. I mean, that might have happened with or without you, but I mean, I tend to think that, he started to see this over time, and instead of getting jealous and bitter, he stepped up and was like, well, that's cool, but that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And he can also be there and do that too. He had two choices. Well, three, really, not just to not care, get bitter, jealous, and try to fight you. So, I mean, in a way, you should definitely take credit for that. I mean, not that was your intention. You couldn't have made that happen, but just being how you are, your natural instincts, the natural heart, you were just being there for her, not the world and anybody else, and it was successful. But the relationship with you and...
Did you read that?
So all your new female family are willing to bet your future interests. I don't even know what she means by that.
I don't either.
I don't
All
know. Remember what we were saying? I don't think she. I definitely don't think she meant anything bad by it. She put LOL. She's just smarter than both of us sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Now I got to run everybody by Mama T.
Yeah. The relationship ended there. You guys finally ended up divorcing.
Yeah, just recently. It's not even official yet. I came out here and told her that I was
Oh,
done.
hold on, Will. She she meant vet, not bet. It means it's like all
Oh,
your. We got to vet like any future female acquaintances for you because of all
gotcha. Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
yeah.
Superior chat.
Oh yeah,
They got to go through an interview process to make sure their filters match their realtors and they're not buying rooms ahead of time
yeah.
and their insurance is good and we'll do all that work. We'll do
It's
all that
jacked
work for you.
up.
Thanks, Dev. I'm glad she. Cause I was like, bet. Like, what? It's just one letter was off, but so now it makes sense.
Yeah,
I told
exactly.
you, their sense of humor is good, but she also is. She means kind of like the stuff.
Yeah.
You guys separated, divorced, finally. I can't
Oh yeah.
remember.
No. I literally just got like 2 weeks ago. I got the divorce papers notarized and mailed back. So as soon
That's when
as
we
the
started talking.
judge signs off on it, it'll be official.
Wow. That's what we first started talking about when we first started talking. That's what like I came in on was like kind of us talking about that, but I'm not putting our personal messages out there. I mean, so the thing you'd be really kind of missing the most is like having this continued relationship, with her daughter that was you grew close to. Um, that's not going to be able to continue. You think?
I've messaged and tried to talk to her, and she's a teen. She's 17 now. She's got her own boyfriend, and she's just really busy all the time.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, I'll let her do her thing. She knows where I am, how to reach me if she needs anything.
True. Okay. So, man. So that ended. Um, where am I at? What else did I want to say? What you got? This was all. You said she was in Texas, so you were in Texas this whole time, like with the
Yeah, for
relationship.
like 10 years.
Okay, and then that ends. You move. You end up moving to Virginia, or
Right.
what? What was in Virginia to move to?
My buddy that had been sober for 10 years.
Okay. I missed this. Had you been in Virginia before 2 years? Grew up there? I
I
mean,
grew up in North Carolina on the Outer Banks, and that's where I met him. We framed houses and stuff together when we were a lot younger. We used to party together, raise hell together, all the fun stuff. And
so
then,
I get it now.
yeah, that's how we knew each other. I met him when he was like 19. He's 40 now. So he's
Sober,
got a family.
sober 10 years.
Yeah. And
Um,
he wants me to come out here and work with him. And the idea is for us to start flipping houses and like buy them, redo them, and flip them.
that's good money. We watch TV reality shows about flipping houses. We like that stuff.
Right.
It's good money. Property
Yeah, both of
Brothers.
us can do all that stuff, like every aspect of the houses
Sweet.
from the ground up.
Get me and Deb one eventually in a few years. It'd
All
be
right,
awesome.
sounds good.
DBR
How,
Oxford
ma-
houses.
how many rooms you need?
That's up to Deb. At least 6. Her own separate room, art room, just whatever she wants.
God,
Oh, she's
you
probably
guys
gonna have
are
to do.
needy.
No, I'm not. I'm really, really simple too, and really just likes what she likes. She loves her plants. She has to have like a planetarium, a planetarium room, solar room, whichever.
Yeah.
You never know. So how long have you been then in Virginia? I know we started talking.
Like since the beginning of October.
Okay. Man, just remember you've only been talking a short time. How do you feel this is going so far?
Wonderful.
if you could create your own purpose, what would that look like, and how close do you think it would be to what God has planned for you?
Honestly, like one of my biggest goals is to have myself financially stable enough that God uses my pockets to help other people.
Boom.
Be able to donate time to building stuff for people in the church that are down on their luck. People that can't afford to do things like that. Like senior citizens that can't fix their own houses. They can't afford it because they're on fixed income, stuff like that. That would be awesome. But the other thing is I got to worry about my back, and I'm getting older and it's getting worse.
Yeah.
So I'm a little limited there.
Well, I mean, with that, I mean, how much laboring hard work can you do? You go, the doctors really say, hey, it's better, but there's going to be limitations.
Yeah, I'm not supposed to lift above 20 pounds.
You're gonna. Well, yeah, you are. I mean, if you're flipping houses and doing stuff like that, wanting to do all that work,
My God, I was sheeting a plywood. I was sheeting a house today on the top, like on the roof, nailing the plywood on, pulling it up, throwing it up there, sliding around on ice balls. Little ice pellets were flying out of the sky.
Perfect conditions.
Yeah, I'm not supposed to be doing this, but I got to. It pays the bill.
Gotcha.
I pay for it physically.
God continues to protect you. I mean, I wouldn't keep testing it. I don't know if I'd do a backflip.
I'm not trying to.
Hey, God, backflip, and it's like, oh, can't
Still
cover
got to
that.
pay the bills, though.
Oh, I get you, man. I totally understand that. I respect that. There's exercises. I mean, you could exercise and keep that nice though too. I mean, you want to last as long as you can with that. I mean, gosh, just be careful, would you?
I do. I try.
How big is your heart, man?
I would say it's the most beautiful part of me.
Still, after all these years, all the BS.
Yeah, I mean, when I love, it's unconditional. Like even you're in my friendship, if you did something that would make me feel betrayed or hurt, I would still want to come talk to you and be like, hey, bro, I love you. Why would you do something like that? Or is there anything I can do to fix the way you feel? Like when I care about people, it's almost permanent. It takes an act of God to like make me stop loving.
Wow. Did you hear that, everybody? I mean, I can't say I'm the same in that area. I might get there, but yeah, that's a tough one. Like if people if they intentionally kind of like set out to hurt you or disrespect you or lie about you or something like that, I mean that's not cool. I don't know if a friend would do that, so that would like kind of limit how much I care about them. Because and care doesn't have to be reciprocal. Like if you care, you just put it out there, you leave it as is. You don't expect things in return or whatever.
Right.
But at the same time, you can't be wasting all that care for people who just leech off of it and don't give you nothing back. Because there's people over here that can really use it that want to give back to you. But if you're giving it all over here, they're missing out. So I mean, I would try to do that with a level of discernment. But yeah, you're saying it would really take like an act of God for you to be like cut somebody off.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I don't give my heart lightly. I don't trust lightly. I'm like either 100% in or 0% in. I don't half-ass anything with my heart.
Okay, I relate to that definitely a little bit more. I mean, so somebody with that big of a heart that it's guarded, but once it's there, it's there. I think
Right.
that's what else should you do with your heart? Be careless with it. You've learned those lessons. I
Few
mean,
times.
to a person who just said that their heart is their best and most attractive quality, the thing they have to offer the most, that's coming from somebody who was told that they were an accident and less than and not the favorite and was seen abuse and everything else. And that's still who was cutting the blood out of that beautiful heart for 10 years. Did it in the hospital room, draining the blood out of that beautiful heart. Yet it still beats and you're still here. So it sounds like wasn't no accident. And you do have a purpose. I think you're way closer to it than you may even realize. Matter of fact, I think you are living out your purpose, but maybe have a hard time giving yourself credit for it. So if you can't give yourself credit for it, how are you going to really recognize it?
That's a damn good question.
Yeah. Well, I'm just telling you what I've come to know in 2 weeks. This could all be an act. Is all this an act, Will? Or are you just doing this for attention?
Yeah, I'm an attention junkie. That's another one of my addictions. I love the way you look at me while we talk. There you go. That's the one right there.
I don't even have to chew on this pen. I just choose to. I don't know what else to do with it. Oh my God. Everybody's gone. Everybody just wants to chat.
We're getting in trouble.
You still feel like you're just an accident trying to get out of here or trying to leave this
No, I
earth?
don't. I don't have that feeling anymore.
You be up on top of a
I
roof,
still.
risking your
What was that last part?
life. Well, I'm just saying, all those years you were trying to get out of here and end your life and all this stuff. Now you're you're living your best life up on a roof, risking it every day.
Right, exactly. No, I got goals and dreams. It's just nothing happens as fast as any of us want it to.
Of course not.
And I am definitely one of the most impatient people with myself.
Well, you want it all now?
No, I like visual results.
Gratification.
Visual results. Like I like to be able to see progress. And it's
Okay.
like very slow. I feel like I'm getting older and stuff's not happening fast enough.
Are you talking about like the physical work you're doing or just you being there for other people or a combination of both?
Basically my living situation and having my own things rather than relying on somebody else.
Oh, okay. I get that. I get that. I mean, I'd rather you be like that. I'd rather I be like that. I that kind of impatience is kind of okay because you're putting in the work for it. You're not just sitting around like, man, I wish this would all happen.
Right.
So that's not that bad of impatience, but just keep a rein on that because you know it's God's timing anyway. I mean, I don't care if you're running
Exactly.
a race. If you run a race your whole life, you don't see the finish line. It's not up. There's no tag that says you made it. Will, here it is. You'll just start living into that, and before you know it, you're like, oh, wow, okay. Now I have this. I've moved here. I got this going on. The relationship will come eventually. You're not too old to have a child of your own. What you've lost or haven't been given yet, God replaces and gives you twice as much because he sees you being obedient, disciplined to yourself, and that he can trust you. I don't know what other requirements he asked for. So do I think that all that for you is further away than sooner? No. I mean, we could take a poll of the people that know you. You just keep doing what you're doing. You can be impatient all you want. Use that as motivation. But know that
Right.
God's going to give you that when you least expect it. When you might be sitting around being like, I don't even want to get up there and put the plywood down today or build any walls, but I'm going to do it because it pays the bills. And there you go. That night you go home, something might happen, some call might happen when you least expect it, when you probably feel like that moment where you're like, man, this is kind of all for nothing. I'm getting too old. The next time you feel like giving in that it's all for nothing, that's when it's going to happen. Because God's like, he went through everything I could get him through to that moment. Then that's when stuff gets produced. And he's already producing stuff in your life. It could be way worse. You know, people got it worse, right? I just talked to my cousin. They live in a little camper with nothing. I don't have much, but he's got less than me. But it shows me how grateful I am. And I don't need a whole lot more than whatever God's given me to have. So the more gratitude that I show, I mean, whatever else he gives me is cool, but he's on to the next thing. I mean, I just, that's how I've come to like think of everything is just, I can't want something more if I'm not given enough gratitude for what I already have.
Right.
Which is from a person who tried to kill themselves twice in 2 decades, like in a 2-decade span. It's a lot. I got a lot. Not material wise, not financial wise. All that'll take care of itself. I'll meet that accountability and walk through all that stuff. It's preparation. Like when God's forming me and molding me and he's getting rid of all that junk and I'm not trying to put new stuff in his way, which is really disrespectful, I think sometimes. Is like, God, thanks for removing all that stuff, but here's some new junk today.
Right.
I try to give him as little as possible for him to move out of the way so he can do what he wants to do. Like, I can't ask you to come into my life and my will and then just give you a bunch of junk too.
Right.
I mean, he's going to just produce what he wants to produce in my life because I've already got more than I wanted. I want it out. So now me wanting stuff doesn't fit. God's like, you can't want anything of your own. You can't want this and desire that and da-da-da-da because you want it out of the life I gave you already. You ruined it, then you want it out of it. So you'll have what I give you to have. Cool with me, God. Whatever you want to do. I think you're very similar in that regard with me. Man. And we've only been talking a few weeks, man. A few weeks. And we've had some awesome conversations via text and whatever else.
Yeah, we have.
And like I said, my wife a few weeks ago said, "Oh, Will Irving, and I just had seen you come into the group and all that." And I was like, his name. She said, his name's highlighted. And I'm like, okay, I kind of know what that means. So here we are, like 3 weeks later. And everything I've said to you, I've meant. And I hope that everything you've said to me, you meant. I take it as that. We're seeing the fruits of our conversation with each other, our talks,
We are.
our opening up, our sharing. We're seeing the fruits of that. I know that my truth that I've done nothing but offer for over 13 months has helped other people. That's awesome. It's not my credit. I asked God to help me. So then I can't say, oh, you're welcome, after I asked God to help me to get to whoever by the truth. So there's no credit I could take. I don't take none of it. You've helped people immensely too in this short amount of time with the big heart of yours. By doing one thing, you've only done one thing. You've offered your truth and your time. Okay, 2 things. You've listened. All right, 3 things.
Yeah.
But you put God out in front of all that.
Exactly.
You let him give you the ability to listen with your heart, your time. You're a busy guy. Get up 4:30, work all day. You still sit down and like, all right, let me get my truth out there and talk to people. You know how sacrificial that is? People don't do that all the time. People want, like, give me something, then I'll give you something. Give me three
Right.
things, I'll give you one thing. Well, I've lived that way. I didn't have nothing in the end. Give everything you got away. And whatever you're supposed to have is what you're supposed to have. And that's the kind of guy I think you are. So, full testimony. What else you got? If you got any dark spots, any little cards in your back pocket that you want to carry into the next day, the next week, and the next year that you haven't got out yet, put it out there now, because you know these testimonies got to evolve.
Exactly.
Anything else you can't let go of? Anybody else you want to forgive or need forgiveness from?
I guess I would like forgiveness from anyone I've ever hurt in my life. I'm trying to be a better man every day, trying to grow, and if I've done anybody out there wrong, I really am sincerely sorry about it, and I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me.
That's how you do it, Will. That's how you say you're sorry to them, by living the best you can.
Exactly.
That's the only way. What do you think you need forgiveness from still? Anything that you need forgiveness from other people that have hurt or wronged you, so you could heal? We were talking about forgiveness and healing the other night, how God into healing. Well,
Right.
you can't. I mean, healing relies on forgiveness or forgiving. Without forgiving and forgiveness, healing's just in limbo. It's a fantasy land.
Yeah, I mean, I get that for a lot of people. A lot of people get held up on that, but I've never ever in my life been a grudge holder. Like,
Even when you
there's
could be.
nobody. Oh, yeah, I definitely could be. But there's nobody that I want forgiveness from. Like, I don't know if I said that right. Like,
I get it.
I don't want anybody to ask me for my forgiveness because I don't see things the way people do. Like, I don't carry like
Resentments.
wrongdoing.
Yeah.
Like, if you did me wrong, I got over it. I would be more disgruntled if somebody were to hurt somebody I care about than I would myself.
Well, that just goes
That
to
would
show
be
your
something
character.
I would have trouble getting over.
So it would hurt you and offend you more if somebody hurt somebody you knew instead of you.
Yeah, definitely.
See? No, God knows that. People hurt his son for no reason. God took offense to that, and the ground shook as soon as Jesus died. In 3 days, we all know what happened, but I'm pretty sure God was offended at that moment. And I mean, it shows what your character is. It's just like, yeah, you can hurt me, sticks and stones, and all this stuff, and circumstances, situations, generational curses, and all this stuff. But if somebody was to harm somebody you loved or respected, that would definitely stick with you longer than whatever somebody did to you.
Yeah, depending on how bad it is, I might lose my Christianity over it. I mean, I've always been very protective over people I care about.
All right. Well, see, you don't hold grudges, so I can't hold grudges either. So this isn't going to work. You're fired. You think you've helped anybody tonight?
Do what?
You think you've helped anybody tonight?
I won't say that I have, but I hope with my heart that I have.
Well, what'd you give me tonight? What did you share with us besides your testimony? What have you said? A bunch of lies?
The truth. All the truth.
That's really, at the end of the day, the only thing that can help people is whatever's, if there's truth involved, it helps.
Exactly.
I mean, fabrications, exaggerations, BS, that can't come in a form of a lie. So if you
Exactly.
offer truth, by definition, you're helping people. This world is full of lies. We see it all the time. It's deception. So what you're doing and what we're doing is pretty dang rare these days.
Yeah.
Could you tell me any lies that that you know of that Jesus told anybody in his 33 years?
Not a single one.
So he just walked around offering truth to everybody?
That's how he rolled.
That's kind of Christ-like to me. I don't know. Are you a perfect Christian?
Definitely not.
But you just tell the truth whenever you can, right?
Exactly.
That's pretty decent.
It's like,
that's
one of the
all you
things
need to
that
do.
it helps me with my sobriety. Like, I don't have to lie. I don't have to. You either accept me for me or whatever. It's like, I'm going to tell you the truth. If you like it or not, then we can be friends, or we don't have to be. It's whatever.
Right, but you're not wanting anything based on false pretenses and lies.
Exactly.
What's the substance there? There is none, right?
The substance is staying sober and having God in my life.
You do know at the same time, looking back, that every time you took a sip of beer or alcohol, that you were lying to yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Because you didn't
Filling
need
my head
them.
full of bullshit that everybody else told me when I was a kid and just reliving it.
Yeah. Did you ever come to any harsh truths while you were drinking or cutting yourself? Did it help you
I
find
came to some harsh devil lies.
spirits, huh? Amazing how that works. Okay. What's one thing you'd say to your younger self?
Stop drinking.
Why?
Invest in Bitcoin.
I got a great documentary for you to check out on Netflix after this.
Oh,
Called
yeah.
it's called Heist something. I can't think of it. Anyway, I mean, seriously though, you see yourself at 19, man, just
Bro,
out
if
in the
I was
woods.
sober at 19, I would have the world in the palm of my hand right now. But the only thing that scares me is I don't know if I would have my relationship with God if I changed anything from my past.
What's more important?
Definitely my relationship with Jesus and God.
Does God make does God make any accidents or mistakes? I'm not sure. I haven't got to the end of the book yet.
I'm sure you have, and we both know God doesn't make mistakes.
Oh well, great, ruin it for me. Spoiler alert. Thanks,
Right?
Will. Guess I
Yeah,
won't
you
have
know, I'm
to
a third like that.
don't have to read Revelations, I guess. Then do I?
Oh, man. I
Oh
think there was a
man.
few mistakes in that, but I don't think it was him making them.
God, I'm at the end of my questions, man. I don't know what else to say.
Well,
Anything else you want to say, man, to the people about this? I mean, an hour 48, bad. Sometimes I let the guests ask me a question, but I mean, you've asked me enough. All
yeah.
you do, how'd you find God? How'd you come to God? And I have to say the same thing again and add something.
Yeah, exactly. I just make you extend your answers for everyone. That's how I roll.
I'd have no problems really doing that, but people hear me talk enough. So
Yeah,
what do you think?
for the viewers and people that chimed in, and I just want you to know that no matter what you're going through, God will see you through it. And it's on His time, and don't be impatient. I learned the hard way. Don't pray for patience either, because He will test you and make sure you get patience.
Boy, does he.
Don't pray for it. Just I hope everyone got at least a little something out of this. I hope everyone has a beautiful and blessed evening or whatever time zone you're in. And I think I'm going to go ahead and pray us out. That's all right.
You know it is.
Dear Lord, Father, we come to you and just tremendous thanks. Thank you for putting Travis and I together, for putting this whole GBR family together, giving us all an outlet in your light, and just this amazing family that you've formed. It's one of the most beautiful things I've known, and I want you to know how thankful I am for it. Just bless everybody that has become a member of the group. Keep your hand on them. Be the comforter that we know you are. And, give Travis a little poke in his, left side of his head so he doesn't inflate too much, because sometimes we compliment him and his head grows. So keep an eye on him.
Not true.
We love you, God. We love our GBR family. And we're just tremendously thankful for everything you do in our lives. In Jesus' most precious name. Amen.
Yeah. Hey, Will, you just gave your full testimony, did you not?
I did.
Is there anything else in there you want to say?
No, I think we did pretty good.
All right. You listen.
Kick some butt.
Yeah, listen. What you're doing to do this on such short notice, one of the best ones I've ever been a part of. It doesn't surprise me because God put all this together. You know what you just did? I just want you to do me a favor, and I don't just remember. I'm just a dude on a journey. I don't really know anything, but what you just did was put a period. You chose to do this. You put a period at the end of this. Everything that happened yesterday, all the way back to the moment you were born, you put a period on the end of that sentence, that story. That book is closed. You're not anything in that old life anymore. You could look back and have memories and reflect and all that you want to do, be triggered by something for a minute or two. But that book's now on the shelf. Let God, from this moment on, you go to bed tonight, you wake up tomorrow, write the rest of your story. You let him have the pen, you be the paper, your impatience and all this other stuff. It's all him, man. You get any anxiety, any stress, any worry, and I know you will, we're human. Let that just go quickly. Just give it up to him. If you got a storm coming, if something rough happens, almost embrace it, because you're not going to add to it. You're not going to make it worse. Right. On the other side, you can almost see the blessing that's coming around that sucker. Just go through it, do what you got to do, respond how you got to respond, trust God to do the rest, and then collect that blessing. Give credit to him, go on to the next thing.
Like a buffalo, right?
This is
buffaloes, when they see storms, they're the only animal on earth that run through the storm.
Be a buffalo then. I might have to change the name to Buffalo. That's about it, man. That's how these things go. So I'm not you. I can't be you. I'll never be you. But when you go to bed at night and chill out and lay down and think about, man, that was crazy. I can't believe we did that quickly. Know that was all God. He's telling you you're good. You're in safe hands. You may not get everything exactly how you think you want everything to be. It may not even be flipping houses or whatever, but whatever God gives you is going to be more than enough and more than you deserve.
Always is.
Brother, I love you, man. I really do. If I say that, I mean it.
Exactly. I do too. And love you, your family.
My head ain't getting big either. I don't have time for all that stuff. I'm not that.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you what. God's got a sense of humor.
He does, and I mean, well,
I'm
maybe
here.
it's brother. It's been amazing, man. I absolutely appreciate it. I didn't get to really spend a lot of time looking at all the comments and stuff. Sometimes that throws me off a little bit, but it seems like you got nothing but support and love tonight, man. And like I said, you can get a copy of this, off Deb's page or whatever. It's not shareable through GBR, but man,
Right.
I think your mom would be proud of how you handled this. And yeah, there might be parts you'd want to let her see, but I'm gonna get off here. I love you, brother. This has been Will Irving, everybody, and he suddenly went on the spot, and we're better people for hearing this story.
Thank you, bro.
See you later, man. Love you.
Love you too, man. Have a good night.
You too.